Okay, so this is part 2 of just showing you how to do the coding for your quiz. So I've just typed in 4 questions, and something that you might want to do is just to give your questions a bit more space. So I've typed, well, these questions here, so number 3 and number 4, you can see that it kind of goes on to column D. You could stretch this out. Or what you could do is you could go to wrap settings, and to do that, so if I just highlight everything, all of my questions, even though I haven't finished the rest of them, if I highlight my cells, I go to I right click and go to format cells, then I click on alignment and I go to wrap text and press OK. That will just stretch out and give my questions a little bit more space. So it just gives those cells more space, so it just pads it out. Okay, so now going over to the coding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on E3 because that's where the first coding is going to take place. And the way it works is that we're going to use the function in Excel. If you're using a device like a Chromebook, the instructions might be a bit different, but I'll talk to you about that individually. So you're just going to click on the function button, and it loads up a list of common functions. And there are loads of functions in Excel. So if I was to click on all, these are all the different functions that are available. So people that work in finance or accounting, and they do a lot of sort of data analysis, they will use some of these advanced functions. So I'm just going to go back to most recently used. So I'm going to click on the if and just press OK, or you can double click. Okay, and then you're given a box that looks like this. So we're in the functions argument section. The first little box here is where you have to specify what you are testing. So basically what I need to test is to see whether the person has typed in the right answer. They're going to type their answer in D3. So I can click D3, or you can type D3, and we're checking to see, so our test is checking to see whether the person has typed in Paris. So I type in Paris, I put the speech marks in front, can type in Paris, then put the speech marks at the end. So that is the shift and number 2 button. Okay, so you just press that and it does the double quotation marks for you. If it is true, then we can type in something nice and positive, like well done. And you don't actually need, it does these speech marks for you, so you don't need to type it in advance. It's just really the logical test. That's where you must put your speech marks. And if it's false, so if they get the answer wrong, well, you could just type in, I don't know, try again. And when I click away, it does the speech marks for me automatically. So that is basically it. When I press OK, it's going to say try again, and it's saying try again because I haven't typed in an answer, or it thinks, I haven't typed in anything and it just assumes that the answer is wrong. So now when I type in Paris and I press enter, it works. If I type in Paris with a capital P and I press enter, it works as well. Okay, so I'll do another example. So I'm going to go back now. So basically, what is 5 times 5? Well, we know the answer is 25. So I'm going to type in 25. Okay, and if you want to, you can type in the answers at the beginning, so before you do your coding, so you can check it's working, and then do it that way. Okay, so doing question 2. So I click on the cell which is E4. Then you go to the FX, the function button, which is over here. Then double click on if. Okay, and then what you're doing is we are testing to see whether D4, okay, which is, yeah, and what you could do is just actually click on the box as well, just in case you make a mistake. So I'm just clicking on it just to make sure. So it equals D4 D4 equals 25. Now, because this is a number, 25 is an integer, I don't need to put the speech marks. If you put the speech marks, it will actually say false. But when you take away the speech marks, it says true, and it's because it's testing, doing the test already. And if it's true, we can say well done. If it's false, we can say try again. Something else you might want to include just to make your quiz a little bit more interesting and just making it more user-friendly is you could allow the person to choose, they could have a list, so they can have a drop-down list of possible answers. So what you could do on the right-hand side, just somewhere in my quiz, and what I might do is just remove the colour over here, sort of, just so it's easier to see. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we'll do it over here, and we can disguise it later on by changing the colour, so the person won't be able to see the answers. So for how many days are there in a year? So if I just choose some numbers, so there are 3 possible answers that the person can choose from. So what I do is I type up some answers somewhere on the sheet, then I can click on the cell where the answers need to appear, then I go to data, then I'm going to hover to sort of move over to the right hand side. Next to text to columns, there's another button called data validation. So I'm just hovering over it, and it's called data validation. So I click on that, and then I get this I get this menu box that appears, and I'm going to click where it says allow, and from the drop down list I'm going to choose the option list, and then where it says source I'm going to click on the arrow, and that has sort of minimized now, and then I'm going to click and just highlight those answers. Then I'm going to go back to the arrow and press OK, and now you'll see that I've got a drop down menu. So if I just do the coding here first, and we can see how it appears. So I'm going to click on the function button, click on if. We're checking to see whether D5 is equal to 365. If it's true, we're going to say well done. If it's false, we can say try again and press OK. Right, so it says try again because nothing's been selected, and if I just click in D5, I've got my drop down menu, and you can see here are the possible answers. So I just click on 365, and then it says well done, so I have got that answer correct. So that's how you can use the if statement or if function to create your quiz. And if you wanted to extend your work even more, you could even create another if statement in the next column. You could call it points, and basically every time a person gets a well done in E3, you can give them a point, so you could give them 1 point, and then at the end you can have like a tally, so you could tell them how many points or how many questions they got correct. So that's how you can create your quiz.